I did use my GI Bill to go to college, and I used my GI Bill to go to law school, and I don't know how I would have done it otherwise. I wasn't born and raised out here. I was born in Wyoming, a little tiny town called Rawlins, and the only claim to fame it has is it has a state prison there. But from there, I was raised in a little town called Watertown, South Dakota, and that's where I graduated from high school, from Watertown, South Dakota. But I joined the Marine Corps and came to San Diego, where I went to boot camp. From boot camp, I went to Camp Pendleton. From there, I went overseas to Guam, and then from there I went to 2nd Force Reconnaissance Company in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I enlisted in 1971 to join the Marine Corps, hoping to be sent to Vietnam. But fortunately, God saw that there was another plan, and I didn't go. I did serve in 2nd Force Reconnaissance Company, but while I was in San Diego, I remembered we were on leave one time, and we were able to get out of training for a weekend, and I wanted to go to some place that was similar to, that had a similar sized town as Watertown, because I've been in the city here, and I didn't really like the traffic and everything, and I saw a little town called El Centro out there, and I took highway. That was before the interstates in 1971. We took a bus, me and 2 other Marines took a bus over the mountains and came to El Centro, and I remembered that. And while I was in San Diego, I was wandering around. I always wanted to go to law school. And we were wandering around, and there was a California Western School of Law was in this old bank building. And I says, you know what, I'm going to apply for this one day. And by George, I did. Back in 1980, I went to law school at California Western School of Law, and then when I got my license to practice law, I got a job offer in El Centro, and that's where I wanted to go because it was the size of town I was from in South Dakota, only it wasn't as cold. And I didn't want to go back to those winters. I hated those winters, and I like the summers a lot better than I like the winters in South Dakota, so I've always liked it here. And my wife of 27 years is standing right over there, helped me raise 3 boys. And like I said earlier, two of those boys served. One of them served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and one of them served in the initial invasion force in 2003, who raced the Marine Corps. He was in the Army to Baghdad, and they did their time, and they've come back, and now they're using their GI Bill to go to school also. But that's not what qualifies me to be a judge. What qualifies me to be a judge is I've been a trial attorney for the last 25 years here in Imperial County. I started out at the low guy on the totem pole at the Public Defender's Office back in 1989, and I worked my way up, and now I'm the Assistant Public Defender. Out of 15 attorneys, I'm one of the lead attorneys. I am the second man in the office now, and I got that by working my way up. I've done 47 jury trials. 2 of those jury trials were murder cases. And I've done every kind of felony case that you can imagine. For the first 12 years, I almost did nothing but criminal work. But then my supervisor realized that I'd been coaching wrestling. I coached wrestling out here in Imperial County for 18 years. And he says, hey, you know what? You ought to help me with dependency cases and juvenile cases, because you know how to handle kids. And so I started doing dependency work and delinquency work. And I've done that for the last 13 years. And I've taken cases there to trial. I had a dependency case that the trial was in session for 10 months. And I was doing the work on it for 10 months until it got resolved. I've done every kind of dependency case. Dependency cases are cases where children are removed from their homes because of abuse or neglect. And I represent the children in those cases who have been removed from their parents. You get these children that have really special needs. Some of these children are born with methamphetamine in their system or heroin in their system, By the time they're 3 to 4 or 5 years old, they have learning disabilities. My job is to represent their needs, no matter what they are. And that's what I've been doing for the last 13 years. And over the years, I've done family law. But anyway, I've had to do different kinds of legal work other than criminal and dependency. I've done every kind of case that you can imagine. And I've done it for the last 25 years. And what I think I need to tell the voters that regardless of what my opponent says, she doesn't have 21 years of legal experience. For 2 years, she worked in the Human Resources Department of Imperial Valley College, IVC. And she was not an attorney for Imperial Valley College. And for 10 years, she worked for Human Resources for the El Centro Elementary School District. And she was in her employment or her job description did not include representing the El Centro Elementary School District. And right before she was appointed judge, she was appointed to be assistant county counsel and was only there a couple months before she was appointed judge. And she claims in her little flyers that she has thousands of preliminary hearings, thousands of these, thousands of this, and all this kind of thing. And that can't be true, because she didn't do any criminal work as an attorney. She's never done a criminal case. And when she was appointed judge by Jerry Brown, she was a judge and for 6 to 10 months. And you cannot do thousands of preliminary hearings in 10 months. I did nothing but criminal work for 12 years, and I don't think I've done thousands of preliminary hearings. I've done motion hearings, I've done all these kinds of hearings, but not thousands of them. That's a lot of. I have done 47 jury trials. I counted. And I've done 2 murder cases. I've done I've done the most serious kind of felony cases that they have. But I've also done dependency work representing children from abused families.